path to peace is inside us. The only place and the last place we'll ever look for what really brings about true, lasting fulfillment, peace, contentment is inside ourselves. When I was much, much younger, I was an alcoholic, and I quit many times. I would write on a piece of paper, I would tell people, I would make promises. I was always very serious. This is it. This is it. This is ridiculous. I'm done. I'm done. And I would get in trouble or do something really dumb, something I regretted, and this is it. It's very interesting that I didn't actually quit for good, for real, until I was done. That may sound a little oversimplistic, but all those promises and all those, and the cures I tried, none of them worked. And on some subconscious level, I knew they weren't going to work. And so for all those years, I just tried things, and then I'd go back to drinking. And then when I was really, really done, and I don't know if on a conscious level I could tell the difference at the time, but looking back I could tell. But I took steps, found people, they found me. I resonated with people that, and programs that were real, that offered a true way out for my alcoholism. And so I think it's fascinating that I would look everywhere when I said I wanted to quit, and then only when I was really ready to be finished with alcohol, I found the people and the programs and the books and the resources and mentors who could get me there. It's the same thing for looking for peace. Same thing for looking for peace. So people try all kinds of things. I tried all kinds of things when I was depressed. So I quit alcohol, and that did not cure my depression. It did not cure my anxiety or my social phobia, but it sure was a great start. It was many years later, but if I wasn't sober, I would not have, without sobriety, I could get nowhere. People try all kinds of programs. I tried all kinds of self-help programs for peace, and I tried relationships and dating and exercise programs and hypnosis and subliminals and positive affirmations and Bible verse memorization and looking in the mirror and telling myself I loved me, and different careers and jobs and moving. You know, what was going on is my mind, my suffering mind, would look around like, well, what seems good? I mean, I started to be an alcoholic because I was seeing some movies and things that the playful, fun, loving alcoholic, they don't, okay, great, I'm doing that. Plus it felt good when I drank. Not everybody has that euphoria maybe, but But I remember I learned how to skydive, and I was thinking, yeah, skydivers have no fear. Once I learn how to skydive, become a skydiver, I'll be different inside. And I was indifferent inside when it came to jumping out of an airplane. I was different inside when it came to getting in the plane, having the thing go up, opening the door, climbing out on the wing, and letting go. Went from determination and terror to playful excitement and looking forward to it. But it did not make me happy. It did not bring me contentment in my life. I'm curious what you might have tried. I tried diets, exercise programs, falling in love, almost got married. I am married now, but I tried to get married back when I was miserable. A person like myself who felt like I hated myself thought, I don't love me, but someone else will. That didn't turn out that good. And so I'm very curious what you have tried. Maybe get a piece of paper and write down like all the things you've tried. Has it been relationships? Has it been money or career or goals? Has it been self-help, psychology, spiritual practices? I tried all kinds of meditation. I tried meditation with binaural beats where you put the headphones on. I tried guided meditations. I tried mantras, just regular meditation that I was taught by an Ayurvedic psychologist. So she practiced Ayurveda, but she was also a clinical, I don't know if she's a psychologist, but some kind of certified mental health professional. But I tried books and then video games, sex, drugs. Even for me, religion. Now, I'm not against people turn their lives over to God at all. I think that's spot on. If that's in your realm, but then when we turn our lives over, it's usually in the manner of some sort of collective, and the leaders might be using guilt and shame. And so we might feel better on one level and yet have a whole heap of guilt and shame and feeling like we're a bad person on the back end, and so we're still miserable. I know some religious people who seem to have an open heart and seem to be fairly peaceful people, and I see others who are fear-driven. So there's the open-hearted person, including religious people, and I see the fear-driven religious people and non-religious people. Fear-driven is not just religious. If you switch to New Age or some sort of secular philosophy, there's a really good chance you're still fear-driven. Anyways, so the path to peace is inside us. It is not outward. It's kind of a mystery because, psychology and self-help and spiritual practices and religious, they're all telling you if you do what they say, you'll get to peace. Well, self-improvement, right? Oh, we didn't talk about that. Self-improvement, where you master your thinking and you master your fears, you overcome your fears, and you achieve, and you can be of service, like a person who believes in helping others. They're not necessarily at peace. People who are into environmental causes or feminist causes or, I guess, male movement causes, and anti this, anti that. But if anything is your mind looking outside of itself for an image of how it's going to be better, enlightened, awakened, wealthy and famous, or like I did, like in love and another person loves me, or sports goals, like if you're a skydiver, or I was really into skateboard riding. As I progressed in my abilities, I didn't feel any better. I felt good, in the moment when people said, "Oh, Chuck's doing really well." But really, the only path to peace is inside of us. And what do I mean by that? And how does somebody turn from an outward seeking to an inward finding? And so, turning inward would mean to begin to pay attention. It doesn't mean sitting for hours in meditation. It doesn't mean sitting and doing hours of yoga. See, that's still outwards, because you're doing something to try to get something. Now, it is possible to sit in silence without agenda and to just pay attention. I think that can be very worthwhile. I definitely show people you can just put your hand over your heart, take some deep breaths, and just feel what you feel. I mean, these are training wheels. Just you can sit in silence and just notice, turn inside, and what am I feeling? What am I thinking? How's my body feel? You can put your hands on your heart and your chest, and you can take some deep breaths, and then just notice your breath, notice your heart. Okay, what are you feeling? And just, these are training wheels. These are good things to do. If you're miserable, definitely you can do those things. But those are techniques. Those are kind of outer techniques, but they're meant to guide you inside. But they're not something that says we're going to quiet your mind. See, that's an outward technique. It's like I am imposing my will on myself. So how does one, or what does it mean to look inside? Well, it means to notice. It means to get to know yourself. It means no matter what you feel in your body, pain, achiness, that you're aware of it, that you are open to be aware of it. You're not always going to be aware of it. Whatever thoughts are in your head, you become aware of them. Whatever feelings are moving through you, you feel those. You're open to feeling those. And so, yeah, I gave you 2 techniques, like just sit in silence without agenda to do this, and the heart breathing, where you put your hands over your heart and breathe. 2 wonderful things to do. But you also, those are outward things, and so what we're going to shift into is, how do you do this throughout your day without actually having to do a technique? Because you can be like, oh, I didn't get to sit in silence today, my day's ruined, right? They can become addictions. They're great training wheels. I'm not against them, but if you think that, oh, if I just sit in silence for 8 hours a day, nothing wrong with that, but it's not really living. I mean, it is living, and it's totally fine if that's your experience. But I'm just saying, for most people, they want to actually live. And so sitting in silence is a beautiful thing, and you can do it for 8 hours a day and have a great life. I'm just saying it as an outward trying to fix myself tool. See, there's just a subtle difference there. Or the heart breathing, it's hard to go wrong with heart breathing. It's the same thing as sitting in silence, but you're just hand on your heart that kind of directs you into your heart area, which is super cut off for most of us, and we want to enliven that up. We want to become aware of it and let it feel. An open heart is not only powerful, but it feels good. So instead of trying to intellectually force ourselves into feeling good, these are subtle. And so those two things aside, you go about your day, you just notice how you feel. You notice what you think. You notice the sensations in your body. This may sound silly or simplistic, overly simplistic, but this is life. This is the secret passageway. Right? We're not medicating. So this will require, if you're on medication given to you by your doctor, I'm not suggesting you get off of it. You can do this while you do that. I'm talking about, we're not consuming alcohol often, if at all. No drugs to get us high. You can cut back on your TV. You can also do this because and watch TV. I mean, there's nothing required, but you might notice that as you will notice if you begin to do this, that you have a lot of entertainment and distraction addictions. It could be, I got to get my exercise in. I got to do an hour. I've got to. Nothing wrong with exercise, but you might notice that is just your distraction. Could be working hard, or workaholic. Could be, I heard a famous wealthy internet marketer, internet multimillionaire talk openly. He was about going inside and noticing things, and that deep fear of death, deep fear of the unknown, the deep fears that a lot of us have or running from, and he suggested working really hard on self-improvement and on business so that you don't have to feel that. Now, that was 10 years ago. He may have realized that was something he doesn't want to run from anymore. Can you imagine what peace would be like if you didn't have to entertain yourself away? You didn't have to have hobbies or goals. You didn't have to have people. People are great to have. I'm not saying anything wrong with it, but that you were not afraid of what's inside of you. And so you had begun to face it like I'm describing. And over time, an old resentment would come up, an old memory of something painful from your childhood or at work, or recent or old, and you didn't have to go pound beers with your friend or go to the gym or didn't once I make that first million or next million, or once I get married, or once I once I meditate enough, you might just be like, there's that feeling again. See, facing our fears, high achievement people want to face a lot of fears, but they may be running from a lot of internal fears. They may face more, public speaking fears and fears of being successful, and those are all wonderful things to look at and make peace with. Can you imagine inside if you just, no matter what you felt, no matter what sensations were going on in your body, no matter what was going on in your mind, that you were okay with it. No matter how hard something was and how challenged you were in the moment, you're at peace with whatever your feelings were. So you were at peace with being angry. You're at peace with being sad. You're at peace with being afraid. To me, that's the sweet spot of living, and that's the only real true peace is to learn to be okay with what's inside us. And look, it's not easy because everywhere almost every book, every commercial, every Instagrams, Facebook, social media posts, I mean, everyone has got an agenda on how to solve the non-peace problem, fears and anxieties and worries and depression and anxiety. And so everyone has an agenda. Go, go, go. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to confess to this God. You've got to meditate, or you got to yoga. You've got to change your state. You got to do these. Woohoo! I'm excited to be alive. Nothing wrong with any of these things. But can you imagine just being just like, and over time you realize, gosh, no matter what the world's thrown at me, I've been able to face it. I've had some really hard challenges. I personally have had some really hard challenges. My wife almost died several times. My kids were born ill. I've been an alcoholic. I've done things I wish I'd never done. I never really amounted to the person that my mind wanted me to be. I was a lost and lonely kid, man. So now I'm in my 50s. I haven't really accomplished anything except for have a measure of peace, a measure of joy, and a measure of sense of wonder and mystery and beauty. I didn't accomplish it. I just did kind of what I'm telling you. So if you're new to me, I do work with people to help them. It's really useful to have a guide who can help you, if you're learning a new skill, whether that's a business skill or a musical skill, singing. I had a singing coach one time. He almost gave up on me. And then I had to move, so we didn't get that far in it. But he was like, "You're really, really phobic about singing." And like, it was many years ago before my depression list. I'd like to think he could work with me again and it would come out better. But I do work with people because it's useful to have a guide. And I'm going to post all kinds of free videos. I've got a very low-cost book. I've got a free 5-day workshop. I do free events from time to time. So, it is helpful to have a guide. And if you resonate with what I have to say and you're interested, you can click on a link and I'll be available. Now, one thing I do is an energetic transmission. That may or may not make sense to you, but it doesn't really matter. It's not something you can intellectually understand. It's just, we can talk about strawberries all day long till you bite one. You don't know if you like them or not. I'm going to do a few moments of that, and then I'll see you in the next video. If you want, you can take a few deep breaths. Take another deep breath. Take one more deep breath. And close your eyes if you like.